Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. This is Justin Siebert, the corporate mentor here. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about people. People. One may argue is the single most important aspect of any company or business. I would argue that people, along with culture, equally are the single most important two aspects of a business. Now, I did a video the other day on culture. Go check that out. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about people from the perspective of the employee and the employer. I'll start with the employee. Now, there's kind of two different routes or two different scenarios, right? You're with a company. You've been with the company for several years or many years. You are ingrained in that company's culture, right? So you had the ability to move up and down and laterally within that organization as an employee. You chose to be at that employer, right? You have the ability to leave the company, go do something else. It's really all up to you, right? And most people are wanting to exceed standards or excel at what they're doing, right? They want to be better than their peers. They're competitive. They want to stand out in the company. They want to grow. Now, there are people that are just kind of in the I would call it the carpool lane, right? They're just going the speed limit. They don't want to excel. They don't want to be a detriment, right? They don't want to be a low performing employee. So there's those people, and then there's the bottom, 5 or 10%. The people just don't care. They will do anything and everything to do the very least amount of effort in order to keep that paycheck coming, right? They'll take advantage of every policy you can imagine. They will work you. They will call in sick. They'll never want to work when they need you. They're not putting in a full day's work. Effort is low. They're argumentative. They probably think they're the best employee since sliced bread, so there are those employees. So if you're an employee, you're going to fit into one of those three areas, right? Now, from and again, if you're in the market for a new job, you have the ability to go to a organization or a business that aligns with your values, right? Now, on the other side of that, on the management side, again, two scenarios. You're either grassroots coming up within the company, you're an employee at one point, and then you want to be, say, a supervisor or a manager, a leader, like I like to call them, and you are promoted into that role, right? For whatever reason, you're doing a great job, you're productive, you have great ideas, you're creative, whatever the case may be, trustworthy, you have, obviously, you're intelligent, you could be a subject matter expert, etc. Now, the other scenario is if you are, say, a free agent, right? You are in between jobs, maybe something happened at your previous job, you were laid off, or you're just in the market for a new position, right? You're being heavily recruited, you have great credentials, you have great experience, your resume is solid, and it's up to you to go to a company and be a leader for that company that you aligned your values with, right? Now, I think with all of that said, one of the biggest challenges is going into a role as a leader, and you're responsible for people that are already in place, right? So imagine a head coach of a football team just gets hired, or a general manager for an NFL team just gets hired, right? They're inheriting a organization with the players are already in place for the most part. Sure, there's some attrition and churn like there is every year with free agency and new contracts, the draft, etc. But they're inheriting what is already in place. So oftentimes than not, that leader is responsible for putting the people under them in place to be successful, right? So the general manager hires an assistant general manager, may have a couple of assistant general managers, they have a director of scouting, they have, whatever sport it is, they may have a director over the college ranks, and they're trying to build that team, right? Then they have to put a head coach into place, and then the head coach needs to fill all of those vacancies, right? They have the training staff, etc. So that general manager has to come in, assess the situation, who is one of their guys or gals, and fill out that team. It's the same thing in a business, same thing in a corporation, right? I'll give you an example for my current position. I have 10 manufacturing plants. I'm responsible for the operation across North America. So Canada and the United States, roughly 2,500 people, and there is a leader at each one of those sites, so 10 leaders that run the day-to-day operation, right? So I have a high-level overview of each of those 10 leaders and the 2,500 employees under each of them. From a people perspective, there's a whole ton of moving parts, right? Some are union, some are non-union, some have attrition that are higher than others, some can't fill jobs depending on the geographical location and the unemployment rate. Some have an easier time hiring salaried employees than others. Some have easier or more difficult time hiring, say, technical engineers, program managers, etc. And then some have an easier or more difficult time hiring, say, hourly workers, right? And that could be in a union or non-union environment as well. Now, the key here is building your championship team. And when you come into a new role, say as a leader, and you're leading multiple businesses or locations or whatever business you're in, you have to make an assessment very quickly if the people on your team are in a position to succeed. Okay, and there's likely going to be your all-stars, there's going to be your people in the slow lane, right? Then there's going to be a couple that frankly you need to remove from the organization, performance manage them out, or they're going to make your life a living hell, and they're going to make it harder for everyone. So you need to assess the situation quickly. You have to have good bench strength, and what I mean by that is you have to have good talent that is up and coming. You have to build your succession planning to enable those people to be successful. And if there are certain individuals that are not being successful, you have to flip over all the rocks, get into the nuts and bolts, roll up your sleeve, and understand what is going on, and give them an opportunity to improve and get to your expectations. And that's another point too. If you're a new leader in an organization, leading a large group of people, or even small, the single most important thing you can do is make your expectations clear from day one. I can't emphasize that enough. If you are not clear on your expectations, your employees will not trust you. Therefore, you will have a toxic culture, and the people will look like they're against you and they don't want to work for you. You have to gain the respect of the people, whether you're a leader or an employee, immediately in order for you to be successful. Okay, so again, if you're a new leader in a new organization, assess your team, put the right people in place. If you have to remove people, get them out quickly. Make sure you go through the due diligence of hiring the right people, building your team, and making sure that you are hiring people that have the same values that you do and that the organization does, so that you are not stuck in a cyclical issue with having people going through attrition all the time, right? You're not going to build a team that's going to get sustained results. You may get results quickly, but they're not going to be sustained. You need to get results quickly and have them improve over time. Okay, so people are certainly important. They help build the culture. They go hand in hand. They integrate with each other. If you don't have the right people, you're going to have a hell of a time building the culture that you want. Okay?